Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and I figured I'd go ahead and look at the recently redone MISC Freelancer. Or at least it recently got its commercial and a few updates and variants, so I figured I'd go over the base one and then probably put out a few more videos showing off the other variants of this ship. And this being the basic one, the MISC Freelancer, it's basically a space truck. It's designed to haul cargo back and forth for companies, but of course it's been repurposed by many people to just do exploration and similar things to that. It recently had its commercial release, which was very, very interesting, and a lot of people believe the commercial actually portrayed the ship as being used by a pirate doing smuggling, which I think is probably true, considering he had a bit of a pirate marking and he blew away two ships that said, hey, you know the drill. And they didn't exactly seem all that threatening. They seemed more like they were just doing a scan. But it is a very beautiful ship. I really like the metal sheen. By the way, my graphic settings are set to high currently, not very high, and I am playing in windowed mode because it cuts down on some SLI flickers I seem to get otherwise. But look at the metal sheen there. You can see some awesomeness in the specular. If I was to approach this, you can see that there's sort of the, I don't know what they call those, grime marks sort of running down there from the edge, and you see that's in the specular, I believe. God, it's beautiful, isn't it? I love the metal. And then we got these big maneuvering thrusters, or I'm assuming that's what these are here. Also, of course, they would be used for VTOL. And that sort of happens, by the way, sometimes. If I'm using a controller, which is what I'm using, screen will jump around. If it does it too much, I'll just go back to keyboard and mouse. But here's the nice cannons that we saw in that commercial. God dang, they're pretty awesome. I love in the commercial, they just spun out and it was like, oh, F you, kaboosh, took those ships out. Very beautiful. And you can indeed see a few sort of start counting the polys on the edge of the gun if you get really close, but let's be honest, probably not going to be getting too close to this gun most of the time because you're going to begin space shooting at stuff if you got big guns like this. And let's be honest, even if you do get close from right here, it still looks pretty damn good. It's a very, very nice ship. I really, really like it. Let's carry on to the engines over here. Originally, when they first started showing this ship, I was a little bit unsure of these engines. I like the overall design, but the large skids on the bottom seemed a bit strange to have them come down the whole length of the, or at least most of the length of the engine there. But it sort of makes sense and works well, and I've grown to like it an awful lot. I'm pretty fine with it. Then we of course have those missiles we just passed here, and then the back of the engine is actually pretty nice. It's a bit different, it's a bit strange. I look forward to when we can actually fly these ships in the dogfighting module and actually see how these maneuver. Hopefully all these little bits will turn. It's actually a lot of very nice detail there, and it looks a bit, oops, sorry about that, grimy and old. It's almost brown, you know, like it's maybe starting to rust. It's very nice, very nice. Of course, the rest of the metal paint is, or the rest of the metal is nice and shiny, so maybe in the future it'll be so everything is nice and clean and brand new, but who knows? I have a feeling those will get dirty pretty quick anyway, considering they're on an engine. And if we were to carry on down here, we get another closer look at the landing struts here. Very, very cool. Some nice details under here. Really nice details. I'm assuming these are sort of for brakes there, and then that's probably actually an import if it needs to pull in any air or anything. Very nice engine. So we're going to take a look at the front here real quick before we head back to the back. And up here at the front is where we have obviously this big shiny thing, which I can't seem to remember what it is at the moment. I'm assuming it's some sort of scanner or shield. It's very, very nice. And then we have our way in and out of the ship, the main way for just crew. And this is very, very nice. Look at all the detail in there of all the little pistons and stuff that would shift around when this moves. It's very, very cool. Nice pipes too. Even if you can see a few polys, I think the distance that you're going to mostly be at for this is completely fine for that. It's very nice. And you even see that all these little steps have their own little hinge there, meaning they would all of course fold flat when this thing retracted into the base of the ship and went flat. And I'm not going to go into the ship that way, because of course that'll bring us right up into sort of the living area of the ship. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the back of the ship. Let's sprint over there a bit quicker. And we're going to go through the cargo hold of the ship. It's very nice, this thing. So let's pop about here. You can see the turret at the top there. Very nice. And now we're going to go ahead and get right up to this. And unfortunately there doesn't seem to be at the moment any special button to press. You just go up here and press, you know, interact. I know that on, I believe it was the Cutlass, they actually added buttons to the ship, so hopefully eventually we'll see the buttons for all of the ships where you have to actually go up to the exact button to press it. But for now, you just click when you're close enough, and the gate comes down, and you can see it even extends there. So you get this whole nice thing opening up. It's very, very cool. And of course there's your turret up there. And a lot of people have been pointing out, how do you get to this turret if you're fully loaded with cargo? And some people were saying, well, you sort of load your cargo to one side so you have passageway through. Not sure how well that'll work, but I'm sure it'll somebody will find a way to make it work, or you will just load your cargo to one side. And by the way, you cannot seem to get in that turret right now, but you can bring back up the door, and it's very, very cool with more of these working pistons. Let me call it down again so you can just see how these all work. Look at that. How cool is that? As it lowers it, of course, it extends out from this thing too. Very, very cool. I like it a lot. Very pleased with that. Let's go close it back up again. God, that is nice. And of course we have all this nice paneling here, and all the pipes and all this. It's very nice. And even this here, in a lot of games, this would actually probably just be a single flat surface with a normal map to make it all look like there's stuff bumped out, but they've actually modeled in a lot of that there. If not all of it. Let's see, can we crouch down and take a closer look at this? Yes, it looks like even those tiny little cords are actually modeled in. That is some serious detail. The texture work here, I would say, probably is mildly unfinished. And remember, I'm at high, not very high, so it probably would look a bit better if SLI wasn't spurting out on me, and I could run it on very high right now. But it's very nice. And even look at the floorboards in here. You can see they've actually modeled these panels here. It's very, very nice. And I wonder if eventually you'll be able to pull those up and store a little bit of cargo down there even. It's very cool. And of course down along the other side, it's much the same as the other one. We got some nice panels and other stuff, more pipes. It's very, very cool. Very, very nice. I like this thing overall. And then you got some nice, what look to be fluorescent lights on the ceiling. Let's go ahead and head through here. Some nice stuff up there, a big pipe there. Not exactly sure what that's for. Let's pop this door open. And I love these doors. Check this out. How cool is that? I love the sound of them. I love the look of them. Currently can't up my FOV. CL_FOV doesn't actually up it, but I can't wait till I can so I can actually see this door a bit better when I open and close it. So let's walk through here, and this seems to be a sort of an airlock room, so you could get to your cargo and stuff while the rest of the ship remains pressurized, and also looks to be another docking port up there, so you get to get out up there. Oop, and my view spurged a bit. Let's go ahead and close this here. God, I love that. And you might notice there a small issue currently that seems to exist. There is apparently a small seam in the door, and I'm sure that'll be fixed in the future. So let's go ahead and pop through here. And now we're in sort of the living area of the ship. Let's close this door. Very nice. And you can see we got a sort of interesting flooring here. I have to point this out because it's just, I don't know, it's very different. A lot of this actually has to do with the fact that there's the stairs right below me that lead up into this area from below that we were looking at earlier. So that's why it sort of have this step separate here, and then it bumps up again to this sort of walkway here. A bench. Hopefully in the future all these controls will actually do something. You'll be able to look at them. I suspect the low pixels there, the pixelization there is just because of me being at high and not very high. You got a nice little sink here. I'm hoping in the future also you'll actually be able to click on each one of these separate drawers and store different things in there. Maybe not specifically for this, but if I was to back up and look up at our ceiling, you can see we got tons and tons of little storage things up there, like something you'd see in a camper van almost. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to aim at each specific one, press, interact, and store different things in each of them. That way you could basically live out of your ship. And I mean, just look at this. Doesn't this look like a damn camper van to you? I mean, it does to me. By the way, I'm suspecting that this door right here is, I can see up in there a little bit, is the shower. I can't actually interact with it. Unfortunately, you can't open that door and get in there just to look around, but I'm assuming that's where the shower and toilet is. We have then more storage here, can't currently access. You can see the lighting's a bit spurgy right now. We're getting lights lighting up the interior here from the outside of the ship. I think it's the global illumination or something similar to that that's causing it, not really so much the lights of the hangar itself. But that'll be fixed in the future. You can rest assured on that. I'm sure it will be. And we got some nice glowing lights up there. And then the 4 bunks in the ship where, well, you might notice there's very little privacy. I would say, hey, maybe these things slide around the whole thing, but I highly doubt it. They look to be sort of disconnected at that one point. They actually look like they're clipping through there right now. Maybe in the future they'll put a little bar there to make it look like they're supposed to slide along there. And then, of course, if I was to crouch down, you can see there's a nice little screen in there, too, which is pretty cool. And is that a button I can actually push? I would say no, but it looks like it, and I was very tempted. And then, of course, you have the upper bunks, which have even less privacy than the lower ones, but, of course, they're higher up, so they don't necessarily need the sort of shield. When you're right here, you might not be able to see it as easily. Anyway, now let's actually look at the cockpit itself, and there used to be, I believe, 2 bars going right there and right there, and they caused some trouble with visibility. A lot of people really complained about it because they'd hop on the ship, they'd sit here and be like, hey, this ship is awesome, I love it, my little camper van, But how am I supposed to be able to fly it if my vision's blocked? So they've gone ahead and shifted those over to just have these single sidebars here, which look really nice, and then this nice open ceiling here. It's really great. Let's go ahead and press a button and interact. Again, remember, this is early days in this game. It looks pretty beautiful, but a lot of stuff still isn't working. Of course, I can't fly the ship. And now I'm going to have to switch back to mouse because I can't actually look around with the controller. At least not so easily. And now you can see we got the controls, and I press buttons, things happen. It's actually pretty dang cool. Very, very cool, actually. I'm really quite happy with it. And you can see there's some weirdness with the screen, or it's you're seeing through it. But remember, early days, this ship isn't ready for dogfighting module. It means it's not ready to fly yet. So all these screens and stuff, I'm sure, will have more of a purpose or just be removed, or something else interesting will happen with them as time goes on and the ship is actually built to fly. But it's a pretty dang cool view. Pretty dang cool view. And you can see both seats. And you even have these nice, look at all the machinery on that steering wheel. God, it's beautiful, isn't it? And then of course we have, there we go, have control again. You can see we have our more seats back here. We can't actually hop in these, unfortunately. But you get the idea that you'd have other people back here monitoring different systems. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty dang cool. And then let's head down here, and finally, let's hop out of the ship through that other thing, and let's line it up and press a button. And see here it's automated. I don't have full control over this, which is very unfortunate, but I can walk down here. Hopefully in the real game there'll be a button that will just open that door and I'll be able to walk up this on my own, but unfortunately right now, no such luck. Anyway, that's it. This was the MISC Freelancer. I'm going to be doing a few more videos with the Variants just to have them sort of recorded as record, and because, well, let's be honest, I want to see the Variants. They should be pretty cool. So, yeah. That's this ship, MISC Freelancer. Very nice ship. On the website, it currently says it is a 2-person ship as max crew, but considering there's 4 beds in there, I don't know. They might be reworking the inside of it at some point, or they might just be, you know, not have updated the ship specs page on the robertspaceindustries.com website. Anyway, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.